BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
We would all like some quick and simple ways to improve our health, but we're inundated with often conflicting advice. So, if you were going to try just one thing to improve your mental and physical well-being, what should it be? Maybe a cup of tea to help your heart health, or listening to music to open up your blood vessels. How about a walk on a rainy day to improve your immune system? I'm Dr. Michael Mosley, and this is Just One Thing, where each episode we'll explore one thing you can start doing today to improve your health or life in ways you might not expect. It's mid-afternoon on a dreary, rainy day, and I'm just putting my boots on, and I'm off to do something that should boost my mood and my immune system. I'm going to embrace the rain. Go on, Terry. Terry's my dog, and she loves a good puddle stomp. Don't you, Terry? Come on, come on. Here in the UK, we have an average 159 days with some form of precipitation every year. There is no escaping the rain in this country. Many people find it tough to enjoy bad weather, but I've been looking into it, and it turns out new research is discovering good scientific reasons to change your mindset about a downpour. Because rain actually releases special compounds that can impact your brain and body in a good way. Rain also cleanses the air of harmful pollutants, so going out when it's raining or shortly afterwards can deliver fresher air to your lungs. And you also get that gorgeous fresh rain smell. So how about embracing the rain? I'm speaking to Dennis, a PhD student in Essex, to find out if this is just one thing he'd like to try. Hi Dennis.
Hi Michael.
Do you manage to get outside much?
I'm pretty much at home most of the time because the nature of my job is remote work, so I'm usually just glued on the computer.
Are you a great one for the outdoors, going for long walks and things like that?
Not at the moment because it's quite cold. It's a lot colder here than where I come from. It feels like it's not the best time to go for a walk. Usually we would go out for a walk when it's sunny.
Now, I've got something that I'd like you to do. I'm going to be asking you to go out when it's rainy. How's that feel?
I'm quite aware that I really need to go out, so I'm willing to give it a go.
Brilliant. And I'd like you to do that ideally 2 or 3 times in the next week. I think there's a decent chance it'll rain on at least a couple of occasions.
It is Britain.
And it's not so much going out in the rain, but just after it's rained. Is that okay?
Definitely.
Okay. Right. So the only thing that can stop you now is if the British weather lets you down and doesn't rain over the next week.
Yeah, I think it's quite likely that it will rain sometime this week.
I'm keen to see if Dennis changes his views about rainy days, because they really do have an upside. For starters, a Harvard Business School study from 2012 found that people get more work done when it's raining, mainly because they're not distracted by all the lovely things they'd rather be doing outside. And if you're looking for fresh air, there is no better time to go for a walk than on a rainy day. A recent Japanese study found that rain improves air quality. In fact, there was a 20% reduction in the most harmful fine air particles that cause lung damage after rain. And then there is that wonderful earthy smell that you sometimes get just after it has rained. It's got a wonderful name, petrichor. The main component of petrichor is a chemical called geosmin, which is made by bacteria and released into the air when rainwater hits the ground. And there's evidence that inhaling geosmin can be good for us. In a recent Korean study, researchers asked 30 adults to either handle soil that contained geosmin or soil that didn't. After just 5 minutes of exposure to geosmin, the volunteers had higher levels of the mood-boosting chemical serotonin in their blood, and their alpha brainwave activity increased, a sign of relaxation. They also had decreased levels of C-reactive protein, a marker for inflammation. Not only does rain improve air quality and release geosmin, it also ionizes the air, adding a negative charge to air molecules. Now, there have long been claims about the health benefits of these negative ions, which I've been sceptical of. But there have been small-scale scientific studies with some intriguing findings. A small but interesting study from Austria, for example, showed that an hour a day breathing in ionised water particles improves people's immune response. And surprising research shows that inhaling negative ions can even boost your mood and reduce depressive symptoms. For me, the idea that going for a walk on a rainy day can lift your mood sounds deeply counterintuitive. So I'll be talking to an expert about this in a moment. But first, let's check in with Dennis to see how he's getting on with his Mosley mission.
Today it rained and I went for a walk. It's the second time I've done this. And today the scent was just amazing. It was as if the earth was giving off this sweet fragrance. Everything just feels so fresh and new. The sound of the remaining raindrops hitting the ground and the cool temperature, it's like a whole new world out there. And it wasn't as cold or windy as yesterday, which made the walk even more enjoyable. I just feel refreshed and invigorated afterwards.
We'll catch up with Dennis again at the end of the week and see if embracing the rain is just one thing he'll keep up. Now let's speak to Dr. Michael Terman from Columbia University in New York. He is one of the pioneers doing clinical trials into the mood-lifting benefits of negative ions. Hello there.
Greetings.
So, negative ions, how are they created?
They can be created artificially or through various acts of nature. The intense rainfall creates a physical disturbance that releases free electrons into the atmosphere, and they attach to oxygen molecules. That's a negative ion.
How interesting. How did you come to do your first clinical trial? And what did it involve?
We were studying light therapy for winter depression. We were searching for a placebo control for light therapy. Light therapy now is the international standard for the treatment of winter depression. These are serious major depressive disorders. But it was always speculated from the start that it was just a placebo effect. So I needed a placebo control. We knew that there was a long folk history about negative air ions being mood lifters. So we assigned randomized groups to bright light therapy or negative air ion therapy, fully believing that that was a placebo and would prove the effectiveness of light. We went one step further. Ion flow out of a conventional air purifier is very low. So we souped up the ionization in one group. This gives us now 3 groups: bright light therapy, high density negative air ionization, and low density. The subjects couldn't tell the difference between high and low density ion. We thought both of those would be placebos. Turned out otherwise.
Okay, that's the great thing about science, isn't it? You never know what's going to happen.
Yes. The ones who received the room air purifier method showed a slight improvement. And that's what we would call a placebo effect, a belief that this would work, but not enough to call it a remission. The research subjects who received the high-density ions gradually improved over about 3 weeks' time.
Right, so a lower dose wasn't really doing it. And when you used the higher density, how effective was it compared, for example, to a standard antidepressant?
The level of improvement was comparable to what you would see either with bright light or with an active antidepressant after 6 weeks. With negative air ions, we saw a gradual improvement over 3 weeks, and it is side effects free.
So this was with people who suffered from winter blues, seasonal affective disorder. Does it work just as well in people who have other forms of depression or indeed who aren't actually depressed?
The short answer is yes and yes. We screened patients who had what we call chronic depression. This is a very serious syndrome where there's virtually no relief from depressed mood for years at a time. It is very hard to treat with medication or psychotherapy, and yet we were able to get statistically a lifting of mood in these various serious cases. It works for the average person as well. A student of mine conducted a controlled experiment with college students who were not screened for depression. Some had bluer moods than others. Within half an hour of exposure to the high-density air ionization, they were feeling better. So it works for the average person as well.
That is impressive. What do you think is the mechanism? Why would negative ions help mood?
There's been very little research done here yet. I have my pet hypothesis. I like to hypothesize that when we respond to negative air ions, you could call it something like what you might experience in intense aerobics, a hyperoxygenation of the blood, which is mood lifting.
Right, so you would hypothesize that it's something to do with the fact that when you are inhaling negative ions, you're super oxygenating the blood, if you like.
That's correct.
Interesting. Now, you're obviously using souped-up air purifiers to produce a big stream of negative ions. Do you think you can get a comparable dose going out soon after a heavy rainfall?
Yes, the dose is very similar.
So here in the UK, obviously, we're blessed with lots of rain, and the moral of the story is get out in it shortly after it's finished. That may be a mood booster.
I think that's a safe bet.
It's fascinating to think that the rain that falls so abundantly from our British skies really could improve our mood if we just got out and breathed it in. Let's check in with Dennis one final time to see if he has been singing in the rain.
I've been walking after it's rained for a week now, and I've noticed that I feel more present and chill. This activity made me realize that I don't have to walk when it's sunny, and I might as well make good use of the rainy weather. It improved my productivity, it makes me more focused and more motivated. You just feel that everything is clean, everything is fresh. Definitely, I will be taking more walks in the rainy day. It rains a lot in the country, so I'll be walking a lot.
I'm in my garden and it just stopped raining. Ooh, just smell that geosmin. I'm delighted to hear that Dennis is seeing rainy weather in a different light now. I too have been making a conscious effort to go out more when it's wet outside, and I do think it's worth it. Knowing there's something beneficial about rain itself has made rainy days more welcome in my book. So why not give it a go? You could improve your mood, benefit your brain, and even give your immune system a boost. As for me, I'm just going to breathe in as many negative ions as I can. So that's it. It's just one thing you can incorporate into your daily routine, which really could benefit your body and life. If you want to hear more of the series, why not subscribe on BBC Sounds? On the next episode of Just One Thing, how a daily dose of laughter can keep your heart healthy, boost your immune system, and sharpen your memory.
Hello, I'm Brian Cox.
I'm Robin Ince.
Welcome to this very professional trail for the Infinite Monkey Cage Summer Run.
And this is just going to be information. We will be talking about wasps, bees, supervolcanoes, mushrooms and...
sharks, ancient DNA, and Are We What We Eat?
And we'll be joined by Harry Hill,
Chris Van Tilliken,
Ben Wilbond,
Rachel Paris,
Dr. Nya,
and Professor Nyan.
They're very good. The new series of The Infinite Monkey Cage. If you're in the UK, you can hear it all.
Right now on BBC Sounds.
Do you know what? We nearly did a really professional trailer, but then that last bit has spoilt it.
I think we're going to get told off again.
Yeah.